Hello everyone, Mark Major here. This is the Action Figuratorium. As you know, I'm a real big toy collector. I also like to muse upon things such as a lot of these indie toy company doing Kickstarters. And so on this toy talk that I'm going to do today, I thought I would take a look at this most recent one that was launched by Savage Crucible, it's called, and a lot of people have been talking about this. It's already kind of popular. It's kind of in the inside crowd. It's also doing pretty much gangbusters as far as money goes, but I thought I would give a bit of a weigh-in on this. I would talk about some of the things that I like about it and kind of a, personal subjective thing. And I thought I would also chime in with a bit of kind of something objective in terms of their their marketing and their business plan, that kind of stuff. So I think you guys should definitely stick around. All right, thank you for joining in, folks. Let's cut over to this Kickstarter. As you know, I am a big fan of indie toy companies. Most of the stuff I see out there I really like, and it's just a matter of, can these guys come up with a way to package or produce or create toys that make sense in terms of a business. And so we have Savage Crucible, and their original goal was 120,000. These guys have smoked it. They're at 325 as of right now, 41 days to go. If I had to predict where I think it's going to land, I think these guys could go up to $500,000, and that would be pretty amazing. And we'll just see kind of where it goes from there. So let's go through and see what they have as an offering. I think this is wave one. So these are 6-inch action figures, 1/12 scale, and they're fantasy. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that I grew up in the 80s. I'm hooked on fantasy. I grew up with Dungeons and Dragons and that Hobbit cartoon show that they had on TV. All those 80s fantasy movies, Conan, Excalibur, Dragon's Lair. There was a few lemons in there, Krull, Lady Hawk, Willow, and then there were some B ones that were actually kind of good in their own way. Beastmaster gets one of these with the hand, and Sword and the Sorcerer. And so you know that I love anything fantasy, and I'm gonna love these guys because they scratch that itch. Look at this guy, looks very much like Dragonlance with that armor. So they've got a couple of different waves of these 6-inch figures that you can buy. There's a $15 guy, a $25 guy, and a $38 guy, or I should say tiers. And really what it is it's a basic body. So this first body, the Saurian, is some kind of lizard man reptile race, and they come with different sort of kits of armor. These guys are of course named heroes. There are plenty that are just known as Royal Guard, and it's got some kind of cool purple gold armor on them. Imperial Sentry, similar kind of thing, really outlandish. You get extra hands, you get swords with these guys, and then you get some basic ones that are just bodies. Blanks, essentially, is what I would call them. Some people would refer to them as army builders is the term people like to use. That's cool. And then, of course, so there's snake men and there's lizard men, these Lemurians. And I don't know how to pronounce any of these races. That's fine. And they, of course, come with armor kits. Now, what I'm showing you here is the first thing is what the digital render looks like. So it's kind of a black and white. You can see the sort of relief, how many folds it has, and then you can see what the finished painted product is going to look like, and also what you get with it. This is all very well done, how they laid these out. And you can see there's quite a few extra kits. I think this is pretty cool. We've seen this sort of happening for a while where you get figures that are sort of more and more generic, and they come with more and more sort of armor kits and clothing kits that you can do. These guys are also doing this thing with coins, sort of an extra tchotchke you can throw in. There's also a comic book of some sort, a graphic novel, I'm guessing. There's more coins and tokens. We get to wave 2 of figures. This is all humans. Here's kind of a He-Man guy called Who-Man. Then we've got this sort of dude who's like kind of a Conan. And here's sort of a Death Knight guy. These are really cool paint jobs, by the way. This is kind of what they look like digitally. There's going to be a couple pics of what they actually look like, and it's pretty close. I'm willing to believe them. Here's one that's actually a Frank Franzetta cover that they got the license for to do. So if you missed out on the Mezco Conan figure, get this guy, because he's only 40 bucks, and I'm sure Mezco is more. See, there he is. There's the guy. That's what he looks like. Has action figure album cover art. And of course, yeah, all the human guys. We've got some extra shield packs, armor packs for the barbarians. So here's wave 3. And these are fish guys, piranhoids. I think those are cool. I have some Hasbro Lightning Collection Piranha's Head Power Rangers guy, who's kind of a little bigger than these dudes, so maybe these might become sort of guards or henchmen. There's quite a few to choose from here. There's no end to the amount of figures. Now, I have to say, in their marketing, by showing you the sort of grayscale relief and then the painted figure, it feels like there's more figures for sale than there really are. It feels like there's twice as many. That's a cool marketing technique. It's totally legit. But it does have a psychological effect when you're scrolling through, that there's like, oh man, there's tons of these. If you actually put them out on a table and said, okay, here's the 6 you get, it wouldn't seem as much. This guy is really cool. He's some kind of a Cthulhu lord. I think everybody needs one at least. And of course, we got various packs for them. Now, here's something I'm curious about. People like to show this. I've seen recently. It's a kind of a 3D blowout of how the figure's parts are and how it goes together. I don't know if that would actually cause more people to buy because they see this. There's some people that probably care, and this probably answers a lot of dumb questions that they have involving what joints are which. But I also feel like this is kind of noise. I feel like it's kind of chatter. However, if it answers questions, if it's a type of help desk chart, leave it up. That's a-okay. So here's a video and more video of the figures, sort of the 3D prints. They look pretty good. They've got, they've got these Lord of the Rings orc swords. Then we get to see some shots of sort of color renditions, painted renditions, essentially kind of what the final figures are going to look like. All the different kit you get with it, the different heads. It looks pretty extensive, like they've put not just some work, but they've put a lot of work, and it looks like they've edited and gone over several times. Here's the figures next to other popular brands and figure lines of what's going to matter to people. I think it's all very sort of well done, pretty cool. I think it's a good idea. Put them next to someone else. I don't know if it's if by doing this, using these other characters in here, if they're breaking a copyright or not. This is kind of shady area, but also, it's a Kickstarter campaign, and at the end of the day, who really cares? Packaging example, that's okay. I don't mind seeing that. This is great because this shows you that they understand design and how to lay out packaging and do packaging. I think that's pretty good. Now, this is interesting here. If you get to the team, these are all the people that worked on sculpting and concept art and animated the trailer, which was this whole animated cartoon, and the people who colored it and who, made some of the graphic novels and so the packaging and all this. And you can see by looking at this, that a lot of people have worked on this. If you think that this is just like two guys cranking this out, you're wrong. This is a full-blown team. So when you look at these characters and these packaging and all this stuff and you're like, whoa, this is pretty amazing. It didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't a couple of people. This is a major rolling of a rock. This is a major boulder to get uphill. Look at all the names that have touched this. So it's no surprise that this thing is going off. Plus, each one of these people hopefully will tell everyone in their sphere of influence that they worked on this. This is not for sale. So you get this type of professional word of mouth, you could call it. And here on this column that I'm scrolling down now are all the different reward, it's the different pledges, and each pledge comes with a reward. They should really change, Kickstarter should change the sort of nomenclature, the naming of some of this stuff. It seems, select the reward, it seems kind of con man-esque language at this point. They really, stop pretending that they're like, incubating a company or something like this, and this is your reward. You're just buying it's like a vending machine now. You're just buying an action figure and it spits out. Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous universe we live in. So looking at this, Savage Crook, I don't know. We need to think of a cool name for this. So looking at this, I love the fantasy aspect. I love the different races. I love the little barbarian guys. I think it's a great start. I think it's how a lot of great toy companies and toy lines start, is they hit a few really great things out of the park. Of course, when they do their second Kickstarter and they're like, okay, we've done fishmen, we've done leechmen, we've done eels, we've done, what? Then I think it's going to get good. I think when you kind of stretch yourself out of the ideas and like, well, we got to come up with something, I think that's when you come up with a classic moment. So this stuff is definitely going to go up in value. Let's talk a little bit about their tiers and their marketing on this stuff, and we'll just kind of close this out. We've been yapping for over 10 minutes, and I'm pretty sure nobody has really learned anything that you didn't already know by going to the page on your own. However, here's what's cool. They have, amongst their different races of figures, 3 sales tiers. Okay, there's a $15 figure. There's, for the most part, I think a 25 in there. And then there's like a 38. Sometimes it's a 40, but for the most part, they're like a 38. And it seems to be determined by how much armor and stuff it comes with. If you just get the guy with the loincloth, it's $15. If you get the guy who looks like some kind of a time-traveling Death Knight seeking out Energon cubes or something, he's $40, right? And the paint job that they put on him reflects as well. Now, if you think about the average price of a Mythic Legions, it's currently at $37 at their pre-order sales. The $37 figure, when it goes to Big Bad Toy Store, is $50. Okay? But they're normally at the pre-sales, they're $37. There were some that came in at like $26 one time. They were like some sort of army builders. They had very little paint. They were very simple. There's kind of, knights that were all black with a, little white stripe on them to make a little emblem on their chest. That's it. Those are $26, but for the most part, most of their figures that come with, extra stuff, lots of weapons, lots of deco, really well made in the Mythic Legions line, are $37. There, of course, are some that are even more, but for the most part, $37. These guys' most expensive, most elaborate one is $38. So they're comparable price. And I think that's one of the main reasons these guys are going to make it, is because they have tiers below that, and it looks really, really good for a product. Okay, so that means there's a good chance that maybe they don't make a lot of money per figure, and that maybe if this thing hits $500,000, with all those people that worked on it that have to get their sort of their beaks wet, their piece of the pie, they're maybe not going to make that much money in this particular campaign, but it's going to set them up for the future. This thing being a big success is going to be huge, and they can solidify exactly what they want to do as a company, right? As a toy company, as a kind of boutique, artisanal manufacturer of very sort of specific type of action figures. In this case, they're like, you know, this is definitely fantasy, but I feel it's almost as if like a sub-fantasy. It's some sort of like sword and sandal, you know, men in loincloths battling lizard men, specific genre. I don't know what that genre is, but this is it. This is clearly it. So having those 3 tiers is totally clutch. Anyone can come in and get the cheap $15 dogs. In fact, that's the one that people are probably going to just load up their cart with. They're just going to get so many of those because, and this is a great little sales thing that they did, if you go into like, say, these coins, I got to mention the coins at some point too. I hate to do it. I hate to, you know, I hate to get somebody angry with me for whatever reason. So there are these piranha men in here. Let me find them, guys. Here it is. Fathom Scout, League Striker, that's $40. Abyss Dreadnought. The Savage is $25. This guy, the Slate, this dude here, he's $15. Okay, he's totally plain Jane. You get some hands and you get a club. He's like World of Warcraft level 1, right? But there's these packs of 3 more heads and a couple extra things, a couple extra swords and a shield. You're in track to buy 4 of these generic $15 figures and 1 accessory pack and make a little 4-pack, you know, the original one and 3 other bodies to make these 3 guys, kind of dish out the swords here and there. Each guy gets his own unique sword. It's got just enough stuff, right, so that you get 4 of these guys, 1 of these packs. It's almost like makes you just buy that whole thing as a complete kit. And I think that that's like, if this thing ever goes into some kind of a retro sales thing, you know, like orders only, I think that's the way to do it, is to package these into little kits. A 4-pack with 1 of these kits. I think that would be a cool idea they should think of. Also, the artwork on these like little kind of cards, very sort of Magic the Gathering kind of, you know, card game, trading card kind of look. I think that's a good choice. I think that's very in. I think it works very well. I think it's very true to the original sort of Dungeons and Dragons mentality and the fantasy mentality of how they made those games, and also how they made the video games with the paper doll. If you ever played like the first paper doll games, like the Ultima Online, things like that, very sort of in line with that, very sort of genius in that aspect. Really good on picking fonts. They're readable, but they look unique. They're not super over the top cool. It's not the coolest thing I've ever seen, but it works for what they're doing. It clearly shows that these guys have chops, and that they're willing to take their time and put out a polished product. Some of these illustrations, designs are great. There's all these coins though, these things, and I know that might be part of the brand, and these might be the kind of thing that they actually make their money on, you know, the way fast food places make all their money on the soft drinks, you know, because you pay like $1.50 for something that costs like 1 penny, and this might be that. I don't want to say that that's what this is, but it feels like it. I'm never into the little extra keychain type stuff. I'm not really into these like little kind of coins per se. I feel like if you're into the action figures and the coin came with, that would be great, but to have to like go out of your way to fight for the coin, I don't know what they do. They don't, you know, not slogging them per se, but I just feel like it's like you're like concentrate on the figures and the coins. You're shoehorning too much stuff in, you know. I feel like that's kind of a too much of a shoehorn. And I know that they're trying to promote these different factions as part of like world building for these action figures, but you know, focus on the figures. There's just too much stuff at this point when you add in the coins. My opinion. Leave in the comments if you love the coins and you want to see more coins, and in fact you don't want figures, all you want is coins. Anyways, that is it for this Monday edition, and let me tell you who the real Savage Crucible is here at the Action Figuratorium. you.